Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom. That's Jeff. Sold out 1999. One of the greatest pay-per-views of all. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, 1999. I mean, for those that are maybe a little younger or weren't following the business, I don't think you realize how awful WCW was at the end.
Yeah.
And the craziest part is there were still, I mean, look, more people were watching it than watch AEW right now. More people were in attendance at many of these things than go to an AEW show. And I'm not bashing AEW. I'm just saying, like, it was still pretty popular. It was horrible. I mean, it's just a testament to how hot wrestling was in 97, 98. WWE, was in 99, 2000. But like WCW, I mean, it's, they still had a pretty talented roster.
Yep.
And as bad as the booking was, as dysfunctional as it was backstage because of, all the changes in leadership and the, Time Warner stuff and blah, blah, blah. But man, it's just crazy to think about. But yeah, it was
some of the names we're going to talk about here too. Like it makes no sense why it didn't work.
It's exactly right. That's exactly right. It should have worked. They had the money, they had the resources, they had the history, they had the talent. I mean, everything was there to be successful. So, we'll get into this later. So why'd you pick this match?
Yeah, so this was one, it was just kind of nestled in between like some of these random, January is always tough because there's not a ton of pay-per-views going on. And so, really until we get to the Rumble, depending on when that is. And so this is one just trying to slot in a little bit something different here. Like we had New Japan last week. I've actually got WCW this week, Ring of Honor actually next week. And then we'll start getting back into a bunch of WWE. But they're trying to, especially this year, I think I said at the end of last year, I wanted to try and cover some matches that there's really no rhyme or reason for covering other than like, hey, we saw it online and somebody was posting about how good it was again, or like just these kind of hidden gem type things. Like we got a bad one, I think eventually here on the list that, I know I have, but eventually as the year goes on, but also like we need to talk about that. It's important to wrestling history, but this is one where we all know the Cruisers were extremely undervalued in what they provided. This is like 4 of the top names ever in cruiserweight wrestling with some of these guys, and at least in WCW. And so, and who doesn't like, as you said too, like who doesn't love Sold Out 1999? Like it just, like you're going to go through the card here. Like there is some, do we even crack 3 stars? Yeah. This was the only match that really cracked 3 stars on this one. So,
the wrestling was terrible.
Yeah. So, but we'll let you get into that. But yeah, just, why not,
All right, let's get into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
Hey, you alluded to it. Not a lot of great wrestling on this one. I mean, some of it is, the talent themselves, but I think a lot of it was, you can shit on Vince McMahon all you want, but when someone has a contract that's heavily based on incentives, guess what? They perform more. They work a little harder. They put together better matches. They take more physical risks. So these guys, I mean, what was the incentive for these guys to go out and beat themselves up when they had a failing company and a guaranteed contract for the next 4 years?
Yep.
Right? January 17th, 1999. Of course, we're at the Charleston Civic Center in Charleston, West Virginia. To my point, 10,833 in attendance.
Mm-hmm.
10,000 for a B pay-per-view of a B promotion that was, not long for this world.
If you can really call it that even, but yeah.
Yeah. Chris Benoit defeats Mike Enos in 10 minutes by submission. Norman Smiley defeats Chavo Guerrero by submission in 15 minutes. Finley defeats Van Hammer by pinfall in 7 minutes. Bam Bam Bigelow defeats Wrath by pinfall in 9 minutes. Lex Luger, accompanied by Miss Elizabeth, defeats Conan by submission in 9 minutes. The 3 submission finishes in the first 5 matches.
Crazy.
In the 6th match, Chris Jericho defeats Perry Saturn by submission. So now 4 of 6 matches end in submission. Loser had to wear a dress, which, as you remember, Perry Saturn would go on to wear the dress. That was an 11-minute match. Then our match that we're going to cover. In your second to last match, Rick and David Flair defeated Kurt Hennig and Barry Windham by pinfall in 13 minutes. And then in your main event, Goldberg defeats Scott Hall in a stun gun ladder match.
Sure.
Why were they in a stun gun ladder match? Well, because Scott Hall cost Goldberg his streak and his title via a stun gun the month before. This was not good. Quarter of a star, dud, just brutal. The main event surprisingly got 3.5 stars, so not horrible. But really one good match on this card that we're going to cover. So I know there was a lot of chaos surrounding the cruiserweights. How did we get these 4 in the ring together?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'll start play with all 4 here. That kind of overlaps a little bit, but first it was kind of Kidman and Guerrera. We had a lot going on. And so we're looking at following the Flock's disbanding, as we all know, fan of the show, fans love him, Raven. The Flock disbanding, Kidman actually started kind of changing his gimmick. He was clean cut, face, all that stuff, fan favorite. He actually beat Juventud Guerrero to win his first Cruiserweight champion. That was September 14th, 1998 on Nitro. So this sold out show taking place January 17th, 1999. And so just a couple months. And also I want to remind everyone, like, it was rare. Well, the cruisers were on and they might have gotten like a title change. Like the belt was changing mostly on the weekly show. So it was September Nitro. He actually he held the belt for a while. And so his first pay-per-view title defense, though, was actually against Disco Inferno, Halloween Havoc 1998. Kidman retained that one. And then it was Nitro. Again, he lost the belt back to Guerrero. But then regained it in a rematch, which was World War III, of course, back in Auburn Hills, Michigan on this one. So he then, Kidman actually joined Rey Mysterio. It was actually feuding against the Latino World Order, LWO, as we all know, kind of made the return now in WWE. Starrcade to end out the year, Kidman defended against Guerrero once again and Mysterio. It was a triangle match. But that one you had Eddie Guerrero, who was the leader of the LWO at the time, challenging Kidman to an immediate match afterward, which Kidman accepted, and then also won that one with help from Mysterio. Psicosis, not kind of involved in some of this. He was actually Spring Stampede in 1998. He beat La Parka. You got to go back that far for him to really be involved in stuff. Him joining LWO. And it was literally actually this week. It was when you had Flair disbanding the LWO, some storyline stuff going on there, which we'll talk about on Nitro. And then Ray, finally, as we all know, like he had the feud with LWO, and that was happening. Wouldn't join, the kind of feuding with Eddie Guerrero, especially. They had a match in August, or him and Psicosis did, so kind of playing into that as well, which would have been August. It rode wild. He actually lost a match to Eddie, so has forced to join the group. And so, again, this is when Kidman joined him with the feud, continuing that going on. And so, like I said, you had that triangle match eventually with these guys. So I guess to say, as I like to say, they were all in each other's universes. There was some good stuff going on here. Latino World Order is still very popular with what WWE is doing it. Everybody like Selena Vega has finally found her kind of niche with that stuff. But really, I hate to say it too. This was, while these guys were having matches, kind of one-offs or triples or whatever, like it was just sadly, like at this time, and we know this now, it was just another cruiserweight match on the card. And like you said, there's no reason for them to go out and have the match that they did, but they did, and that's why we're watching it.
Yep. Well, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. For nostalgic purposes, and like you said, four of the all-time greats. So, hour 42 into Sold Out 1999. Hour 42. Jeff, are you ready?
Getting it pulled up? Yeah, I'll be ready to go, man.
All right, it's time for the payoff.
Oh, it's time for the payoff.
Got Ray coming out, young Ray, baby Ray. Jesus,
I know, isn't that wild, man?
It's just wild. It's just crazy to see. Yeah. So I do want a little bit of trivia. It's been a while since we've had some trivia. It has nothing to do with these guys in the match here. I don't know if you saw recently. It was Jericho posted on because he was on this card. So I did want to give you this piece of trivia. The last ever main event in WWF included Chris Jericho and who? This would have been May 5th, a Sunday, 2002. It was headlined by Chris Jericho, and who was his opponent at the time?
I have no idea.
This was the last ever, like I said, WWF show. Chris Jericho as the challenger, taking on the champion from Hollywood, California, Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Wow.
As the final ever WWF match. Yep.
Huh. I
couldn't
knew
believe that when I saw it. Yeah, there you go.
I actually saw it. I saw a Hogan Jericho match at a SmackDown taping in Pittsburgh.
Okay. Yep. This was at the go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say it would have been, I think it was my senior year of high school. It was pretty cool. I mean, I'm like, wow, I'm getting to watch Hulk Hogan, and it was when he was champion, when he beat Triple H. It was right around there. It was really cool. That was ironically, that was the same show where I'm sitting there and we sat like right by the entrance in the like 100 level, but like it's those seats, it's those like limited view seats where you can't see the screen sometimes in the entrance. And some guy like sits down to my right, a couple seats down. It was Teddy Long.
Oh shit!
I sat there and I sat there and bullshit with him for like an hour.
Awesome. What?
Yeah.
So I want to put this match is weird. You have Kidman.
Oh, so they have to tag in.
Yes, they have to tag in. Oof. You have Ray and Kidman in the ring, but then Psicosis and Guerrera are in the corners waiting to be tagged in. And so I'll talk about it in the aftermath, but really just a super weird setup, plain and simple. Like it just, yeah.
What's your timestamp?
Where am I at here? 144, 50, 51, 52.
Perfect. Me too.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we're good. And so, yeah, so these guys, yep. And so they're not even paying attention. Like, why not tag yourself in? Oh, there you go. So Ray tagging Psicosis in at this point. It doesn't seem happy about it.
But why would you tag someone in? Because they could get the pin. It's not an elimination match, is it?
No.
So then why would you ever tag anyone in?
Right. Or why wouldn't you be trying to tag yourself in when somebody's in the corner? Right.
This is why WCW went out of business.
And there you go. Kidman tagging in Guerrera.
It's funny, for whatever reason. Do you see subtitles on your screen?
I don't.
Okay, I do, just because probably some Peacock setting or something that I can't figure out. But the announcers are saying, well, why would you tag yourself? Why would you tag yourself out?
Yep.
The only thing I can think is that Ray was winded. And now they're explaining the rules.
Just makes no sense.
No, I mean, obviously these are great workers, but what a stupid thing to do. Yeah. I was laughing the other day. So, obviously it's been speculated that Warner may own part of AEW. I think the speculation was that they had a 20% stake in AEW. any rate, what I find funny though is it's like, what would have been better is just hanging on to WCW this whole time and not making it go out of business. Like you just think of, and I know big companies, so it's like, but still, WCW, let's say they just kept going. Maybe they're, way smaller than, obviously a WWE. It's still like $1 billion brand. So it's like just crazy to think, oh, well, we're going to spend all this money on wrestling, or we need to spend money on wrestling, or, like if you had a crystal ball and you knew what people were paying for content, you would have said, God, we just need to make this WCW thing work so that we have, 6 hours a week of content. Well, what do you mean 6 hours a week of content? Well, we have a 2-hour show on Mondays, we have a 2-hour show on Thursdays, and we have a 2-hour, reality block, or we have a Saturday show. I mean, you just think of like, what's the value of, 6 hours a week of content that's actually somewhat highly rated? I mean, it's hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and they could have owned that content and produced that content. So it's just pretty wild. Now, these guys don't want to tag in, don't understand this at all. But you understand what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah, totally.
It's just incredibly stupid and short-sighted to allow WCW to die, even if for nothing else, the video library would have been worth something. But oh well.
Yep. At this point, like you and I have read the rumors too, like AEW is not financially viable in the long term unless they get a big TV deal. I figure how many people are under the roster, even if you say, or who's under contract right now, and where are they losing money? Like, it just, it's kind of crazy to think about that. I take a lot of respect, like I said, I've come around on Punk. I think that it's been very interesting because like he's been at the PC most weeks, working with some of the NXT people, a lot of them posting photos and stuff like that. Like I enjoy the split screen of Cora Jade when she was like a teenager, and then now her getting the photo with him, which was kind of cool. But a lot of them, and it seems to me, and I think this is just the kind of behind the scenes stuff where you wonder how much, like, it wasn't going on at WCW. I don't think it's going on at AEW, where like there isn't a good training system in place. Like, and while we shit on WWE producing a lot of the same people because of how their training methods are, at the same time, it works. And we're getting high quality people that have come out of that system and developmental and are great to watch on TV, are great to see. I think unlike AEW, like people, again, no matter how you feel about Punk, like he knows how the industry works. He's really smart. Like we said last week, like one of his biggest fans is HBK. And I sent you that who is it, one of Fightful or whatever it says, like Punk may one day succeed HBK. And I was like, this is insanity. Like, are you kidding me? But then also like, hey, if they get along, like who would have said, 20 years ago, who would have said HBK would have been a coach at the Performance Center? Who would have said Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley would have been the guy that is now going to be running WWE creative. Like it just, so who knows? Like you said, Punk, I think you said last week, Punk's got 10 years easy, whether that's in the ring, whether that's, behind the scenes, who knows? But like, dude, like I like he said nobody would ever come to him for advice, like nobody, like none of the younger wrestlers, like, and I feel like that's just a mentality thing of like, ooh, big power bombs on the outside, yikes. Like, yeah, these guys just like, why wouldn't you want to get some of that knowledge? Like it just doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, I had the thought the other day and I didn't text you. I was like, how many do we want to take a bet on whether or not, like how many more years AEW has? Like I just like, do we say like by 2028?
The estimates they lost $30 million.
Yeah.
So the question becomes how long does Tony Khan and Tony Khan's family, and I don't know how the money works inside their family. Like I don't know if it's Tony's money or if he has to ask his dad permission. I don't know how it works. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's 30 million is 30 million. And I get it. It takes money to make money, and you got to make an investment and this and that. They may get a new TV deal that makes them profitable. I have no idea. But losing 30 million a year is not sustainable unless you're comfortable losing that kind of money. And they've got big ass contracts, and they're going to have to continue spending money. Every contract that comes up, the money's going to go up for. So, we got a new TV deal that gives us $100 million more. Well, how much more of that are you going to have to spend on your talent? It's tricky. So it'll be interesting. I mean, a lot of it, you can say whatever you want, but a lot of it's just going to come down to what is the Khan family's appetite for investing in this product and trying to make it work. But you just look at that roster, you look at what these guys cost. I mean, what do you think Chris Jericho makes a year?
Oh God!
I mean, it's got to be a couple $1 million.
Easy, yeah. I was going to say probably 2.5 or something like it.
Sure, the Bucks,
just
couple $1 million. Omega, Page, MJF. I mean, I just routed off 10 million of salaries easily. They're running these big buildings. They're not drawing crowds. They have astronomical production costs to produce a show. That's just what it costs. They don't run house shows. Merchandise is great, but it's not a needle mover. The video game didn't work, didn't sell anything.
The game was terrible. Yeah.
So, where are you making money? Oh, well, pay-per-view. Well, okay. You have 100,000 buys at what? They're making a profit of $25 per pay-per-view. So 25. Yeah. Okay. So, we're making a couple million, we're making some money there, but we're doing like 6 of those. And, there's production costs that go into that. And, you just start going through it and you're like, it's gotta be tough of course they're losing money. And the hard part is that the popularity is not gaining. They're not bringing new people in. Why are they not bringing new people in? Because they're not doing anything that makes a casual fan or a non-fan want to join. I mean, there's too much inside baseball. There's nothing more than wrestling. There's not any compelling storylines that make people go. I'll tell you another thing. I hate it because I love the guy, but Edge doesn't move the needle.
Yeah. I saw the hour by hour, the minute by minute or whatever, which I don't know how to properly break that down, but they said like Edge wasn't moving the needle like he needed to. Yeah. When he was when he main evented a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
It is clear that WWE made the determination that we like you, Edge. We want you to have a place here, but you're not Brock Lesnar. You're not CM Punk. You're not a major attraction. And I think that probably hurt his feelings, but it was the truth. So why does a guy like Edge or a guy like Christian go to AEW? Well, they have creative freedom and they can be on the top of the card. So it makes sense. It makes sense why you wouldn't, make Edge a mega star, and it makes sense why he would go somewhere else. So but I didn't realize. I thought Edge was bigger than he was, and it turns out he really just, metrically doesn't move the needle like a major star. He's not a Randy Orton. He's not a CM Punk. He's not a Roman Reigns. He's not a Brock Lesnar. And I kind of thought of him that same way, but I understand why they didn't. Another guy, and I hate to say it because I like the guy, but another guy that's probably in that category is an AJ Styles.
Mm-hmm. He's been out for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they have a lot of data that we don't have. And, those numbers don't lie. And there's a lot of data that goes into, merch sales and social media engagement and, minute by minute TV ratings and focus groups. And, they know sometimes better than we do what people care about.
We have devolved. This is no longer a tag match. It's all we've got like Psicosis is about Ray and Kidman have kind of been working together. Ooh, and Psicosis doing like a suicide dive. Ray and Kidman laying
There's been some crazy ass spots in this match.
They've been outside of the ring a lot. Yeah, fly. I did pull up here. This says Jericho has reportedly been on a $3 million per year deal since his last 3-year contract extension in 2021, and will be paid even more when his new contract comes into effect, which they're saying he re-signed a deal. It would run through 2025, maybe early 2026. With his Jericho's existing contract doesn't expire until January 24. So it just, there's all kinds of weird numbers out there, but even if you say, oh, 3 million is the number, and even if it went up to 3.5 or 4, like, okay, like, there you go. Like, I get why you want that guy on TV then, because otherwise he's sitting in, catering, making, that's like Shohei Ohtani numbers there, where he's making, every second he's making $200 or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how many guys do you have making that kind of money? Oh, well, there's 6 of them. Okay, well, there's $20 million right there. Maybe $25 million right there.
Even you say 20 guys, men or women, maybe are making, even if you say 2 million, like that, okay, like there you go. Like you're at what point does Shad Khan say, no? And also, like, that's what I talked about the ring. That was a Kidman win there, I believe.
Boom.
Was that a 3
Kidman shooting star press. He hit it for the win.
Course, one of my favorite finishers ever. Yep, in WCW.
And his was cool too, because it wasn't the gymnastics one. It was more kind of like real the way he did it. I always loved it.
Yeah, it always looked great. Yep, absolutely. Good match. Okay.
So Kidman's your champion.
Still champ. Yep. Retaining.
Not a fan of the ring gear. Not a fan of the ring gear. I always thought it looked very minor league. But big Kidman fan. So, all right, that was fun, dude. I mean, they're showing some of the replays now. I mean, you just look at this stuff. Like that was pretty sick right there. The finish was awesome. This was towards the end, right? Oh no, that was a little earlier. But I mean, just really, really fun stuff. I like the match.
Yeah, for sure.
Little spot festy, little clunky with the 4-way thing, but once they all got in the ring, I thought it was really good. So, all right, let's get to the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
All right, what'd you think?
Very good. Hey, good stuff. It was a good match. Like, yeah, showing the shooting star right now. Like, yeah, just really good looking. I should have started not as a tag match because that's not how it finished, but it still was a good match. Fans are going crazy for it after the win here, so that's a good sign. And so, yeah, it was good.
I liked it. I mean, I really did. Didn't love it, but I liked it.
So what we had after this one, of course, Kidman just retaining the title, a lot of different challengers, Chavo Guerrero Jr., Super Brawl, Mikey Whipwreck at Uncensored. Eventually lost the title to Mysterio on Nitro. March 15th is when that one happened. Ray... He actually, and like we talked about before the show, you had the 2 NWO factions reforming at this point, and so they wanted the LWO disbanded, and so Mysterio at this point refusing to take off the LWO colors after that, and or initially not wanting to be a part of it, and so it was attacked by NWO. He actually ended up, it was the match at Super Brawl 9, February 21st. Mysterio and Conan had a hair versus mask match against Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, which resulted in Rey Mysterio losing his mask. And then he went on to become the Giant Killer because he beat Kevin Nash, Bam Bam Bigelow, Scott Norton, a couple others. Guerrero, he actually became an announcer on Thunder in order to remain on TV while he was rehabbing an injury. He actually defeated Jushin Thunder Liger to win the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship out of New Japan. This would have been late 1999. And then he actually would lose the title back because it was a weird substitution here. As the notes I said, Guerrero and Jerry Flynn were arrested for DUI, thus no-showed at the show. And so, whoops. So that was how the end of his 1999 capped off. And then Psicosis, what do we got here? Beat Blitzkrieg, Juventud, Guerrero, and Rey Mysterio in a 4-way to win the championship for the first time on April 19th. And then Rey Mysterio won it back 1 week later. So, yeah. Where do we got the rankings on this one? From top to bottom here, Juventud was 62, Psicosis was 40, Billy Kidman was 31, Rey Mysterio number 4. The torch on this one, Kidman pinned Juventud to retain the title in a 4 corners match with Psicosis and Rey Mysterio. Excellent high spot action throughout. including a lot of catapults over the top rope onto the floor. Kidman and Ray worked together, as did Psicosis. And Ray. Kidman favored his shoulder after putting Juventud out with a great shooting star press. The match had an internal logic to it despite all the chaotic action. A few mistimed moves at the end, 3.5 stars. As usual, this was best match, actually the only match getting votes from the Observer. As usual, these guys were the show stealers. Poor Tony Schiavone announced early in the show that Kidman and Mysterio had won the coin flip and would start. Then when Guerrero's music was second, he said that Guerrera must have won the coin flip, and he said Kidman would start. Then Mysterio Jr. started with Kidman. The fans started chanting USA. Schiavone then explained, and I'm not making this up, how the rules of this match make no sense and there is no logic in ever tagging out under these rules. Of course, he's right, but that begs the next question: why book the rules to make no sense? 4 stars on this one from Dave Meltzer. Shooting star, a bunch of reversals, yada yada. 4 stars. So 4 stars, 3.5 stars. Kind of a crazy Tony Schiavone calling it out. The rules make no sense. Where are you going to put this one with your score, buddy?
I got this at a 6. Mm-hmm. Like, the match itself was really good, but kind of made no sense. Like, it wasn't bad, but it, probably with a little bit of logic could have been a lot better. What about you?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It just doesn't, whatever. Like, it just doesn't make a ton of sense. Yeah. But it was still good. And so I'm at a 6 as well. Because it's just like, whatever. Like, okay, this is what we got. So, all right.
There you go.
Send them home happy, of course. Don't forget manscaped.com using our promo code PAYOFF. That's getting you 20% off, free shipping, everything in the store, as well as Caldera and Lab menswear as well, men's grooming and kind of products as well. Make sure you're checking that out as well. So PAYOFF on the code on that one. You got manscaped.com, Caldera and Lab.com, just all kinds of good stuff. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, this was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. As always, we appreciate you listening. We'll talk to you next week on an all-new episode of The Payoff.